fun so far?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
We're just getting started.
We're just getting started. Group B has Italy, Spain, Croatia, and Albania. To decide which team we talk about first, let me pose a question.
Okay.
Of these four teams, which team's performance in this Euros do you think will be the most unpredictable?
Oh, okay. Unpredictable?
Or toughest to kind of gauge how they're going to come out swinging in this tournament.
I'm inclined to say either Croatia or Italy.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Italy's a weird one because they're the reigning champs. You'd hope a lot higher if they had that title.
Fucking football, man. That's so nuts to me, man.
Yeah.
Italy's an interesting one, man. They're so interesting to me. And actually, I'm looking for help from you. And I'm actually looking for help from the fans in the comments because I'm debating about where I should put Italy in this group. It's one of the few teams where I actually couldn't select a spot, a position for them in the group because I need to see what the discourse and what the rest of the people say because my research left me confused, man. Left me confused. Coached by Luciano Spalletti, ranked number 9 in FIFA's rankings. And the defending champions, that's the narrative. Defending champions of the Euros defeating England in penalties with names like Donnarumma, Bastoni, Scalvini, Barella, Jorginho, Di Marco, Scamacca, Federico Chiesa. Really, really good players on this team and a lot of squad depth. I get so curious, bro. What version of Italy are we going to see?
I have the exact same qualms about Italy, man. I really do. And I'd be surprised if most people didn't. Truly. Because you look at Italy the past even 12 years, 10 years. Dude, they haven't been to a World Cup since 2014. It's been a decade since Italy have been to a World Cup. I was saying Mexico and Germany have been bad. Italy's been way, way worse. And then they won the last Euros. There's no explaining it. There's not a mastermind formula that some genius crafted last Euros and was like, oh, Italy's going to win. There's not a single person who predicted that they could do it. But then once we saw Italy get going in the Euros 3 years ago, oh my God, it made sense. They looked unstoppable. They found such good form. And of course, when you looked at the squad, it did make sense. I mean, you already listed some of the players that won 3 years ago. They are here now in Germany. There's some serious talent that Italy have. The problem is that even recently in their Euro qualification, they've been hot and cold, man. Yeah. They had a weird qualification where, yes, they looked good at times, but they couldn't beat England twice. They had 2 chances to beat them. They couldn't do it. And I think that's where Italy is right now. They can beat the teams that are lesser than them. And sometimes, honestly, they even underwhelm against those teams. But when they play against the bigger teams, I don't know if this specific Italy team really has it in them. But the thing is I said that 3 years ago. I said the same thing 3 years ago. I will say, though, there's some holes in this Italy side specifically that make me think that there's just no way they make a deep run like they did 3 years ago.
Where do you think that is? Because when I think about the offense, I think about Scamacca finishing the season off really strong for Atalanta, and then a guy like Chiesa playing really well for Juventus. Midfield looks pretty good to me with Barella, Di Marco, and these Inter Milan guys, honestly. And the backline has Bastoni, Scalvini. Where do you think the weakness is then?
It's in that third midfield position. So obviously the good is Niccolò Barella and Jorginho. And I actually want to highlight Barella really quickly because my goodness, dude, he has had 3 immaculate seasons at Inter Milan, one of the best box-to-box mids in the world. And what's crazy is I thought he was good like a year, 2 years ago. I think he was even better this year, truly. He's gotten better at passing. His decision-making is elite now, and he still has that dog in him. He still has that physical grit, box-to-box. He's one of the most complete midfielders, I think, at this tournament.
I think he's the next great Italian midfielder?
Yeah, truly. And I think he's honestly in the midst of doing that already. He's 26 years of age. He's in his prime, or maybe 27, but still, what he does on the pitch speaks for itself. And then Jorginho needs no introduction. We've seen how good he has been and how instrumental he's been at Arsenal. 3 years ago, they had Verratti. And I think what he brought to the pitch for Italy was pure fluidity and honestly just the know-how to outdo any midfield pressure.
What a player, bro.
What a player.
Yeah.
And
look, I forgot about him. Damn.
Well, he's been gone.
Man.
He fell off the face of the earth. Man.
Yeah,
he's gone
completely.
He's completely gone, and there is not a single guy who can replace what Verratti brought to the table.
That's fair.
And I think that's a massive miss in midfield. I think what Spalletti's probably going to do is he could play Pellegrini, who plays at Roma, and he had a good season this year. You could play Davide Fratesi, who's also good at Inter Milan this year too. Those players can work, but they're just not even close to what Verratti was. They're just not even close. And I think that's a big miss. So there's one area. I think the second area is actually in the center back position, not because of the quality, but because when you look at what once was there. 3 years ago, bro, Chiellini and Bonucci.
Oh, yeah. And then, bro, 10 years before that, Maldini.
Exactly.
So, like, we got legends at the back.
Exactly.
For sure, the weakest, I don't know, aura that you've seen in an Italian backline in a really long time. I agree with that, but they're still really good.
They are really good, but I truly think that aura, that know-how, that experience that both Chiellini and Bonucci, legends of the game, brought 3 years ago is low-key why they're able to stay in those very tight matches. And then, Chiesa goes off and gets a crazy goal. I think that's why Italy were successful ultimately, because Chiellini was doing Chiellini things.
That's true. No, you're right.
And again, the skill at the back is very good for Italy right now, but I mean, these guys aren't made. They're not established like Chiellini and Bonucci were. And I do think that actually is a downgrade. Now, in 4 years' time, or hell, even 2 years at the World Cup, Italy might have another really, really good back line, and there might be legends in the making. But right now, that doesn't exist.
No, that's fair. That's really fair. I was reading a comment online about, from an Italian point of view, as an Italian saying how he approaches Italy games now. He says that him and a lot of Italian fans live on a game-to-game basis. No expectations anymore for Italy, bro. Because it makes sense. At one point, you're losing to North Macedonia and not making it to the fucking World Cup. And the next, you're lifting the fucking Euros against one of the best England generations we've ever seen, man. And then you just compare this team and the names to what they had in the 90s and the 2000s. Like, it's just so drastic that you can't have expectations with this Italian team. And that's why I'm just left so confused, because I'm like, where do I put them then? What team are we going to see? Because you mentioned these defenders as being the weakest point. It is kind of make or break for them this tournament to see where they stand in the upper echelon of defenders in Europe. Can they be a top 3 defense in Europe right off the bat and establish themselves as that for the next 10 years? Or will it be clear that they still have a lot of work to do? We'll find out, bro. And that's kind of my ultimate take with this team is I'm just going to have to wait and see. So, folks, in the comments, let me know, what do you think about this Italian team and how they're going to perform? Because anything you have to give me, I will take like a sponge and receive it, because I'm so curious to see how they perform. If I have to pick a spot for them, bro, I think I'm going to go third. Man.
Dude, yeah, I can't believe I'm saying it too, but I think I am going to go third as well, just because there's just so much unknown. But the thing is, I won't be surprised if they get second.
I won't be surprised if they top the group.
Yeah, that too. I won't be surprised if they end up showing out here at this tournament, because as you already said, they have quality, man. I mean, Chiesa just went off at the Coppa Italia final, and when he's healthy, Chiesa is one of the best forward-winger hybrids in the game. Yeah. So Italy still have insane talent. I just wonder if they're going to show up. That's it. Wow, that's actually crazy then, that we both have them third then. It's pretty nuts. But I think that also shows that this group, I think, is deceptively tricky, man. Yeah. You look at the rest of the teams, and honestly, I don't think it's an easy way out to the top of this group, no matter who you are. I think that's why they called it the group of death. Right after the draw, they named this as the group of death with Albania, Spain, Croatia, and Italy. Man, okay, then let me ask the biggest question here then. Who gets second? Oh, okay. I'm going to go Croatia here, actually. And I think this might be a little surprising to a lot of people, because a lot of the sentiment that I see online, on YouTube comments or on Reddit threads, is that this Croatia team is past it, right? This Croatia team is too old now. I said it at one point, bro. Yeah, I think I said it too. But if you really analyze what this Croatia team is all about now, honestly, Dalic has done a pretty decent job at integrating the new generation of Croatians. He really has. Of course, you still have the veterans and Luka Modric, Marcelo Brozovic, Kovacic will still be here as well.
Perisic.
Ivan Perisic, who's really old now, but he's still working hard, playing his trade in Croatia. So there's still a lot of familiar names. But then there's new guys. There's new guys like Luka Sucic, Luka Ivanušić, who had a really good season in the Eredivisie. Lovro Majer has been trying to get into the starting 11 for the last 3-4 years. Now might be his
He's
time.
finally not going to come off the bench, bro?
Exactly.
All I've seen from him is coming off the bench, dude. That's nice. I hope he gets a start.
I hope he gets the start. And I do think it is time for him. He's been really good at Wolfsburg. Again, statistically, not a lot of these Croatians have a lot to boast about. I understand that. But the way that they play, there's a really good emphasis on just fluid football still, even with these new Croatian players. And the thing is, Croatia ultimately have punched above their weight the last 2 World Cups.
It's their identity, man.
What they've achieved hasn't really been what they were supposed to. They did the impossible by going to the World Cup final in 2018. They truly did the impossible by going to the World Cup semis in 2022. So I think when you look at the team that Croatia have now, yes, it may not be as good as what they once were over these last 4 years, but honestly, it might be just as good. It's just going to look a little bit different. Of course, you don't have Ivan Rakitic. You don't have Mario Mandzukic, legends of the game. But the new guys that are coming in, I think, play at a very high level, and they're Croatian, bro. Mm-hmm. They've established themselves over the last 6 years as being a nation that produces top quality footballers. Look at Joško Gvardiol, right, who popped off at the last World Cup. He's still here. He's still a major part of this Croatian squad. I think these youngsters in Croatia have a lot to say for themselves, and they still play decent football. I have Croatia being a decent, hard to beat side at this year's Euros.
This Croatia has gotten too old narrative, bro. I don't buy it. I'm right there with you. I think this Croatian team is almost like, I don't know, like the San Antonio Spurs at their peak. And like Luka Modric is Tim Duncan, and they just got such a good system in place where they churn out talent with players that believe in the identity of the team and they embody it. Because I think this team isn't so much about the individual as it is about the 11 players on the pitch. I think one of the best examples of like the identity of Croatia is the fact that when you think about the type of player needed to score against Brazil in a quarterfinal of the World Cup when you're down 1-0 in extra time, you think you need a guy like Harry Kane or like Kylian Mbappe or Leo Messi to step up in those type of moments. But it was Bruno Petkovic, bro. Yeah. Bruno Petkovic, who was the guy who brought on this Brazilian tragedy in that situation, bro. And I think that represents the Croatian identity so well because it's a bunch of players like that. They might not be stars. They might not be superstars. They might not be in the perfect age, in their prime age, but they just know how to play football very, very well. I love how they teach it there in Croatia. And I saw a stat that says Croatia has won a medal in every tournament they've played in except the Euros. Yeah. And I think that's crazy, man. Nations League, World Cup, they've done it twice. I think they want to do it now for the Euros, bro. I think they want to do it now for the Euros. Playing in Germany is basically like playing in a second home for Croatians as well. And the biggest thing that I love about the Croatian national team that I've seen from them in the past 10 years is that they, more than anybody else, has proven that they know how to adapt to a match. And it's why so many of their games have notably and famously gone into extra time because they know how to read their opponent and immediately adapt to it, make subs, make tactical changes to then play up to that level if needed, which is why you can see them play up to the level of a Brazil or also just play down to the level of a weaker team. They can play in any sort of match and hold their own, and I love that. They put 4 goals up against the Netherlands just a year ago in the Nations League semifinal, and then they went all the way to extra time against Spain in a 0-0 match that required more defensive stoutness, and they were able to show that, pushing it all the way to penalties and then losing in what is ultimately a lottery. So I think for all those reasons, bro, I trust this Croatian side more than I trust the Italian team. Yeah. And I think that's why I'm going second for them.
Yeah, I agree. And just to finish, they just also still have so many options going forward. It may not be the best individually when you compare it to, England, France, Portugal, but it's enough to be cutting edge. It's enough to always keep the opposition guessing on how you're going to attack. Because you could start Kramaric, Ante Budimir. They've both had really good seasons this year, both in Germany and in Spain. But then, if Lovro Mayo's not working or if Ivan Ušic's not working, you can bring on Marko Pjaka, very direct dribble driver, or you could bring on Mario Pasalic, who just went to the Europa League final with Atalanta and who's been playing really good football for the last 5 years. So there's just so many different types of players that Croatia possess, and they all work really well together, like you said, under the systematic approach that they always bring to every single tournament.
Livakovic loves playing in major tournaments and showing out like he did at the 22 World Cup. I think my biggest question for Croatia is, yes, we both have them getting out in second place. What's the ceiling, though? Are they contenders? Are they contenders to lift the trophy, or do you see more like a quarterfinal and semifinal type appearance for them?
Dude, I mean, even in 2018 when they had that really good squad, I always considered Croatia nothing more than dark horses, And same thing in 2022. I was like, Croatia are good. No way they get to a final, and they shocked me when they went to the semis, man. Yeah. Like, I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna fool me twice. Shame on me. I'm gonna fool myself again, bro. Yeah, bro. I'm gonna do it again because I can't say that Croatia are title contenders. I can't do it, especially that Modric is basically in a fucking wheelchair now, man. We gotta take that into account.
Oh man.
But I just want to say that they're not as bad as a lot of people are putting them out to be, because the young talent is very good. They're just a little bit raw. Yeah. And I think that this is their opportunity to be like, all right, let's gauge ourselves. How good are we? I think Croatia could go to the quarters, though. I think they're that good. Now, obviously, it'll depend on what type of draw they get. I think if they get a really tough draw in the round of 16, then I'll probably say they cap it there. But I'll say quarters, but I don't want to be too high on this Croatian side.
Yeah, for sure. Well, folks, let us know what you think about this Croatian team, because I think this is a really, really interesting team to take note of going into this tournament. So then by us picking Croatia second, Italy third, we're predicting the Spanish demise?
Yeah, Albania at the top of the group, bro.
Albania's top in this group, bro. They got to, man.
This is the best Albanian team ever.
In their history.
In their history, man. And contextually, not a long history of success. Let's make that clear.
Be honest.
Their first appearance in a major tournament was just in 2016 in the UEFA Euro 2016. And I actually remember that how important it was, or how massive of a moment it was, that Albania qualified for a major tournament. It was their debut. And honestly, when you look at how they approached that tournament, it was very defensive, yes. But dude, I mean, they almost got a result against France. They conceded late into the match, and they actually got a win. They beat Romania and got 3 points to finish in third place in their debut. It was a really magical moment for Albania in their debut to actually garner 3 points at a major tournament. So I think Albania kind of rode that way for a long time after having not made any major tournament since then, but they're back. This Albanian team is back, and under Brazilian manager Silvinho, I actually think this team is a lot better than in 2016. And if they're able to get 3 points then maybe there's actual genuine hope for this version of Albania, because I think they're a lot more progressive. They're a lot more courageous when they go forward. And when you look at the squad, there's actual talent here that I truly don't think that they had 8 years ago.
You got the pivot of Ramadani and Aslani as one of the biggest focal points for this team. They got players at Brentford, Frankfurt, Atalanta, Lazio, Sassuolo, Inter, Fulham, Chelsea, I believe. I think the biggest thing for this Albanian team, based off how they play and how Silvinho has them set up, is the transitions. Transitions. They're very, very good at recovering the ball and then pushing it up forward and causing havoc, causing chaos. I think that's going to be their method this game, especially against teams like Spain that love to possess the ball. Italy, who will have to try to possess the ball against Albania, or even Croatia will try to outsmart them. They're going to have to play on the counter, and I think they can actually succeed with that approach because they played into that the entire Euro qualification, and it worked.
Yeah, it worked. And You already highlighted some of the players, but I want to re-highlight them because player like Bayrami for Sassuolo, he brings a bit of filth to this Albanian side. He gives them character, and it's a player that they haven't really had before in their past. A guy who has genuine handles and, can progress the ball forward very creatively. Ramadani's the perfect cover for a player like Bayrami, and then Aslani just had his breakout season at Inter Milan. He's an Italian champion. So there's true quality for Albania going forward. It'll be really interesting to see. My biggest concern with Albania is...
What's that?
They had a pretty easy group, bro. Qualification
There's a couple
group.
of teams that qualified into this tournament that had some easy groups, and that's what makes it hard to gauge. I'm with it.
It's a little tough to gauge, and they haven't really played any other teams outside of that Euro qualification side. So I don't know how this version of Albania plays against a Spain, plays against an Italy, plays against a Croatia. I have no idea, because they had the Czech Republic and Poland in their group.
Man.
Poland, mediocre as fuck.
Don't even talk about Poland to me, bro. I don't even want to hear about Poland.
And the Czech Republic, a solid
that's
team.
That's the toughest test.
But that's all I can say for Czech Republic. We'll get to them later, is that they're a solid team. So does that mean Albania is also just a solid team with maybe some special players in Aslani? I wonder. That's why I'm excited about this year, is because it'll be another massive moment for Albania to show out for their country. I just hope that they can show out.
Do they get more than 0 points at this tournament?
Oh, God.
Do they get a point? Because unfortunately for them, it's incredible how drastic the Euro qualification group is and the Euros group is, bro. It could not be more drastic, man. This is the group of death.
Yeah.
Do they get a point here? Be honest. Be honest.
I think if they catch Italy off guard, they might be able to get a draw. Okay, so there's a potential for a point there. And if Croatia just don't show up offensively, which could happen, maybe they get a point there as well. They're not beating Spain. Winning is something that I don't know if Albania can do against these teams. And if what that means is I just don't see Albania getting out of this group.
Here's the positive part for any Albanians watching us, because I ultimately do agree with you. It's not about this tournament. It's not. I think they're building to 2026. I think that's where their timeline is going. You got drawn into a really tough group here. Have a good showing. Have something to be proud of. Maybe try not to get blown out. Be really positive. But you still got 2 more years to build to the World Cup and hopefully make it and show yourself out there. And that's where they can fully try to put on that pressure to deliver, because they seem to have the system in place to hopefully do something special at an expanded World Cup. So I would say that's the silver lining here. If they end up not getting any points, but if they do, then that's even better. That's bonus at this point. If they get a point against Italy, or maybe even, dare I say, get a victory at this tournament. And that leaves us with the last team in this group being Spain, coached by Luis de la Fuente, ranked at number 8. We both got Spain top in this group.
Got Spain top in this group, bro.
Okay. Spain with guys like Grimaldo, Dani Carvajal getting called up, Nacho, Rodri, Fabian Ruiz, Pedri, Morata, Nico Williams, Lamine Yamal, 16-year-old Lamine Yamal, Kubarsi as well. 2 Barca youngsters getting called into this team. The pros is that we know, out of all the teams in this group, I would say that we don't really know how Croatia's going to come out. We don't really know how Italy's going to come out. We don't know how Albania's going to look against elite teams. We know how Spain's playing, bro. They're possessing this ball for 75 minutes straight, passing merchants to the fullest, and they're going to try to outpossess the team and get a goal, just 1 goal, to get the victory and end up winning. The question is, how far can that play style take them? Because lately, we've been seeing it disappoint in major tournaments.
Yep, round of 16 exits in every single major tournament since that disastrous 2014, except in last time's Euros, where they actually went to the semifinals and nearly booked themselves into the UEFA Euro Final 2020. And I think that's kind of the story of Spain, is ever since that golden generation in 2014, for the next 6 years, they really worked on transitioning the golden generation out and bringing this new guard of Spanish footballers. And I think it peaked in Euro 2021. Because you already said the type of style that they play. Obviously, Spanish love to possess the ball. It's their bread and butter. But it got a little too much in that direction, but it went all the way to a semifinal appearance. And I think because of that, people had high hopes for them at the World Cup in 2022, but they took that exact same approach where you possess the ball for 90% of the time. You just probe. You go back and forth, right side, right side, and then you try to hope that Dani Olmo is the guy who has the edge to get past 3 or 4 defenders. But it peaked. Because it did not work at the World Cup, man, ultimately. Like, they had some good performances, but they really lacked that biting edge. Because you pass the ball 100 times, but if you're not going towards goal, does it really mean anything? And I think that meaning was completely lost at the Qatar World Cup. But I'm excited about the Spanish team, man. And it's because of the youngsters that have recently hit the scene. On one side, you have 21-year-old Nico Williams, who has been going off for Athletic Bilbao these last 2 seasons, and that's it, bro. He's just hit the scene since the World Cup. He is fresh, and he is dribble penetrating at every single opportunity he gets. And if you talk about dribble penetration, it gets even better with 16-year-old Barca starlet, Loki, maybe the next Messi. It's still to be seen.
You can say that.
Lamine Yamal on the other side. All of a sudden, Spain go from a possession type of midfield approach offensive style team to now you have 2 out-and-out wingers. Yeah. But you still have the class and quality in the midfield. And I think that's what makes this Spanish team a lot more deadly going into this tournament than the past 4 tournaments, because I think now they have true cutting edge on both the wings, centrally through Alvaro Morata, and then creatively when you have a midfield of Fabian Ruiz, Pedri, and Rodri.
Rodri. Wingers have definitely improved. Striker position. Let's talk. Morata, possibly Joselu. Has that improved, bro?
No,
I don't think it has.
It definitely hasn't.
But I will say, in the past, they haven't had this much excitement in the winger position to feed them and to create chances. So I think they're good enough to work with these exciting youngsters beside them. So I think that's a really positive factor. Part of me is wondering if that's where the limitation of this Spanish team is in the striker position, the finishing spot to finish those balls that Yamal and Williams will send in. Can Morata consistently be that? We ask this question every single time for Spain. Can he be that guy? Or even a guy like Joselu is even that much of an upgrade at an older age? Will those guys be the weakest link for Spain?
I'm hoping that due to the addition of these new wingers, that Morata has to do less on the ball. Meaning he just has to be sharp for the moments when he gets the ball in the box coming from the wings. If that is the case, then I actually trust Morata to take advantage of the opportunities that he eventually will get. But if Morata has to end up doing a lot of work with his back to goal and he has to come deep, then I think that's where Spain lose a lot in that central position. So I think what will remain to be seen is how effective really are Williams and Lamine Yamal going to be for Spain, because they're ultimately going to have to do a lot of work on that wing.
I'm so excited to see Lamine Yamal, man.
Me too,
I'm so excited. Like, he's such an X factor, I think, for Spain and world football, man. A winger with this much confidence and this much threat at his age is just it's not usual, bro. It's very, very rare, and they're going to give him the keys to that right wing position to just go off, bro. To just go off. We saw it this whole year with Barcelona. His rise has been incredible. I think he'll be one of the most exciting players to watch at this year's Euros. And so I definitely recommend people who don't know who Lamine Yamal is, perhaps, to definitely focus in on him when Spain plays, because he is such an exciting talent. And I think he's going to play a big role in carrying the Spain team forward and hopefully going deep into this tournament. But speaking of depth, bro, this team has so much depth, man. They really do, to the point where I was looking at their exclusions. They got some crazy names that they left out, bro. Pedro Porro, Lucas Vázquez, Marco Asensio. To me, the most notable one, Pau Torres. Not getting called up.
Yeah.
Isco, and then Sergio Ramos, who you could list as an exclusion, but obviously they're past him. But those are some interesting names here. Anybody there that you think should have been on this team?
Honestly, no. I think De La Fuente really likes the French connection of Lenormand and Laporte. Although Nacho has been really good in the Champions League for Madrid, I could actually see Nacho getting in. And when I look at those 3 center backs, I do think they're better than Pau Torres. So if you bring Pau, he'd be a 4th choice. He wouldn't get any playing time, bar disaster on the pitch through injury. So I'm cool with Torres not coming. And then when you look at a guy like Pedro Porro, he has to compete with Dani Carvajal, the best right back that has ever existed. So as long as Dani is healthy, Porro's not seeing the pitch.
Yeah.
So I think that makes sense why you don't bring a guy like Pedro Porro.
Yeah, and then Marco Asensio, I think, just hasn't really shined that much at PSG or honestly since his peak at Real Madrid. So I heard almost might be too old. Isco was solid at Betis this year.
Yeah, he was solid. I guess you could have brought Isco, but if you're going to start Fabian Ruiz, Pedri, and Rodri for sure, then you'd probably rather use a guy like maybe Mikel Merino to come in. And because Isco's a defensive liability. So if you're wanting more well-rounded midfielders, there's probably other guys to go for.
Yeah. I think ultimately looking at the Spanish team, we mentioned the striker position as possibly a weak link, but I do think just with the play style that they have and what we've seen in the past 10 years, their weakness is in defensive transitions. Yeah. The moment they lose the ball, that's when you pounce on this team, and that's when you try to take advantage of the Spanish side and catch them off guard. I'm interested to see what teams will be doing that, how they actually do it, and how the defense holds up. But ultimately, man, I do have them in first in this group, and I got them making quarters minimum. I got them quarters.
I wanted to ask, do you have this team as title contenders? Do you have them as dark horse? Like, because when you look at the quality, man, I mean, there's some just insane quality. And I have to say my own word on this too. Lamine Yamal being 16 years of age and possibly having a huge impact, that's an energy that no other team has at this tournament, bro.
We met these 16-year-olds, bro. they fucking got so much energy nowadays, bro.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, you're right. That's my question too, because I'm scared to say semifinal for Spain.
I'm scared to say too, but I mean, they might be able to pull it off.
If Spain reaches their max version, yeah, contenders.
Okay.
If they don't, though, I think quarterfinals max.
Yeah, I'd say
that's the most I can say.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this Spanish team. I'd say if they don't make it to the quarters, then it's a disappointment. Truly, because they've shown that their quality is so much better than most teams, right? The only teams I see Spain struggling against is going to be the elite teams like a Germany, England, Portugal, France, right? But Spain have showed over the last year and a half without Williams and Yamal that they're pretty much better than most teams. If that's the case, they have to make it to the quarters. So I'm saying quarters minimum. If they reach their full potential, then yeah, I'm going with you. This team is a title contending team.